the Jet Setting Wealth Advisory Podcast, where your financial journey takes flight with David T.U. As an airline pilot and financial expert, David merges the aviation industry and wealth management to help you navigate today's complex financial skies. Each episode features expert insight, blending personal stories with essential financial strategies. We ask that you fasten your seatbelts and sit back as we prepare for takeoff. Our destination, your financial empowerment.
Welcome to the Jet Setting Wealth Advisory Podcast. I'm your host, David, and today I am joined by Bette Hochberger, CPA and founder of a forward-thinking advisory-based CPA firm headquartered in South Florida, Hollywood, Florida specifically. With a strong foundation in both private and public accounting, Bette has built a reputation for helping individuals and small business owners grow their wealth through proactive, modern tax strategies. Her firm specializes in working with real estate professionals, crypto investors, and their startups. High net worth individuals offering services like outsourced accounting, fractional CFO support, and long-term financial planning. In today's episode, we'll dive into how Bette leveraged tax planning as a growth engine, how she advises clients in emerging industries like crypto, and what business owners should be doing now to stay financially agile and future ready. So welcome, Bette, to the show.
Thank you, David. Thank you so much. You make me sound great on that.
You are great. So let's get started with this. After working
Sure.
both in private and public accounting, what inspired you to launch your own boutique CPA firm back in 2012?
Oh, man. So if you ever work as a controller or CFO in a small business that needs to interface with the CPA firm, it can be frustrating. And then the
Absolutely.
corollary to that is if you're ever a CPA working with your clients, that could also be frustrating. So I took both of those experiences and kind of looked at both sides of the table. And I'm like, what do I wish I would have gotten when I was at CFO from my CPA? And as a CPA, what did I wish my clients would do? And can we kind of mush that all together and come up with a better approach to working and to give clients what they want and what they need, right? And
Sure.
also make sure that as the CPA, we're being helpful, we're being a value add, and that we're also getting what we need, because everyone needs sort of the same stuff, but not exactly the same stuff. That was the approach that we really took. Like, how do we just make it a better working relationship? Because when my clients do better, I do better.
Absolutely. So your firm emphasizes value, honesty, and integrity, as well as creativity, backed by cloud accounting and fractional CFO service. Can you tell everybody what fractional CFO service is and how do these shape the identity of your business?
Sure. So fractional CFO, right? It's a very fancy way to say basically I'm hiring a part-time person, or in this case, a firm, to fill a role that most small businesses, quite frankly, can't afford, right?
Sure.
It's expensive. You're talking, in the greater Miami area, I looked this up recently, the low end of hiring a CFO is $150,000 a year. So what's nice about with my firm, with our projects, or with our packages, I should say, that we put together, we're looking at a lot of different aspects that come and go in different trends in the CFO world also. Like, you'll
Okay.
see years where CFOs, it's popular that they're a CPA and that accounting is really important, especially when you have accounting scandals. That becomes a real important thing for those who are old enough to remember, like Enron and those situations. And then sometimes it's a little sexier to be like the finance CFO, right? And helping
Yes.
more with those projections and cash flow and things like that. So we've got kind of a mix of all of that. And we make sure you have good books, right? We make sure we're not cooking the books here. It's like, no, everything's the way it should be. We help you on the tax side, because when you're a small business, the taxes really, really matter for the owners,
Huge.
like so
Absolutely.
much, right? And then if you're trying to grow your business, which most people are, if they've come looking for some contract CFO work, they're also going to get, how do we help you grow this business How do we do
Mhm.
projections? How do we watch cash flow? How do we forecast for the future? How do we get loans or other sources of funding? So we bring all of those elements of CFOing. Can you make that a verb, CFOing?
Absolutely. We get it.
Uh,
I certainly get it.
right? So we bring all those elements into you at a fraction of the time and a fraction of the price. So you're getting your little
Fantastic.
CFO in a box. Yeah, it's
Excellent.
working pretty well.
So let's talk about that. You serve diverse industries. We talked earlier prior to the show starting, real estate. We also mentioned in the intro crypto and startup
Yeah.
businesses, and of course, medical and legal practices. What tax planning opportunities are most often overlooked by clients in these areas?
Oh man. So it's a little, choose your own adventure out there in the tax world. So I usually let clients try to guide where that's going. If
Okay,
you're looking at the crypto world, I don't know exactly what your audience looks like, but I would venture to guess many of them don't know a CPA who handles crypto because there's not a lot of us out there. Crypto has some very specific and quirky rules that you can really take advantage of. Things like loss harvesting is
mhm,
huge, huge, especially when you have a run up like we're having a good time right now in crypto world where the markets are up. It wasn't like that the last couple of years, but now that people are selling and they're like, "Oh my God, what's going to happen if I sell?"
sure.
because because I'm going to might be looking at some big capital gains, right? We try to loss harvest there on the tech side, and this is all, by the way, kind of not up in the air, but it's changing a lot because of
Yes,
this big beautiful bill that just passed, right? So a lot of
yes.
these things are changing. If you're in the tech space and you do research and development, there are those increasing R&D tax credits out there which
Mhm.
have gotten transformed the last couple of years, and now with the big beautiful bill is kind of being like, well, if you did the weird stuff we did the last couple of years, you can go undo it and fix it all now. And I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? So there's a lot of tax
Yeah,
credits out there for those startups. And if folks like to get into real estate, which who doesn't love real estate, right? Like it's a great space to get into. What
absolutely.
people often don't know is that there's only a couple very specific ways to invest in real estate that will help your taxes. Usually, if we get people early in that real estate investing, we can guide them to have the tax benefits as well as the other benefits that come along with real estate.
So on your website, you mentioned specifically proactive tax strategy is the core to your firm and the services that you provide. Can you explain what that means and why it's better than reactive filing?
Sure. Probably the most common experience for people when they do their taxes is they give everything to their CPA, they put it together, they say, here, you owe $1 million or whatever, say number it is. And, as the taxpayer, just like, what? Like, how did I get here?
Sure.
And sometimes the CPA will even tell you, well, why did you do XYZ? You should have done ABC instead. And it's like, well, it doesn't help now.
Doesn't
It
help
doesn't
now.
help
Yeah.
after the fact, right?
Yeah.
So instead of looking backwards, we're like, let's look forward, right? And I tell clients, like, before you're going to do something, call me, email me, schedule an appointment, schedule a meeting. The number of times that a client said, well, I did this. And I said, well, why did you do that? And they're like, I don't know. I just thought I should. And I'm like, well, did you think about the tax implication? No, I didn't. A lot of times we can help you mitigate those taxes by just structuring things in the right way, or maybe looking at even counting numbers of days. Like sometimes you can turn something from short term to long term, save yourself a ton of money, right? There's a lot of
Sure.
different things you can do if you're proactive instead of reactive, where it's like, well, it already happened. Now I got to figure out how to fix it if I can.
I always say that CPAs that does not incorporate tax planning strategies are
Yes,
archaeologists and
yes.
is not a good business model for business owners.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Well,
Archaeologist. Yeah.
you can, I haven't copyright that, so you can feel free to
I
use it.
can steal it. Okay. I like that a
Um,
lot. But it's true. It's true. You're looking at what happened before, what happened
yeah.
in the past.
So let's talk. I've got a series of questions about this since I present at the FICPA symposiums. And I see a lot of CPAs, their business model is being an archaeologist and not being pro advocate of their clients by being at the forefront of their scenario. And also, I've had clients who are trying to be proactive with their CPAs. As an example, an 85-year-old lady, widowed, decided to sell their highly appreciated business complex after her husband died. There's a
Oof.
lot of tenants there, and she wanted to sell it because she didn't want to be a landlord anymore. So
Gotcha.
she went to go talk to her CPA about this, and this CPA, she said to the widow, "There's nothing you can do; you just have to pay the tax." But there was so many things
Oh man.
that could have been done. So you being a CPA and a proactive CPA, why do you think there are CPAs out there that are reactive, being archaeologists as their business model?
I think it's a couple of things. One, I think it's our training, right? You
Okay.
are trained to look backwards. I I'm trying to think, did I ever have a class where we did projections? I don't think so.
Mm.
Did we ever have a class of like financial modeling? I don't think so. Did we ever have a class? I mean, I guess we had a couple classes on like generic like finance theory, right? But like
Theory.
alpha
Okay.
beta, like I don't know. I don't do investment advisory, so I don't
Okay.
even remember any of that stuff. But all of our training is like, hey, look at what we did and put it in the right category.
Okay.
Right? So I think it's
So
inherent in
it's
how we're
training.
trained. I think that's a big part of it. There's a lot of professional services. We don't learn how to be CEOs. Like if you work
Right.
with doctors, love them, love doctors. They're so
Yeah.
smart. They do great
Yeah.
things. They are not the greatest people to run businesses because
That's
you don't get
true.
trained. You don't get
That's
trained
right.
in it. And
That is
believe it
true.
or not,
That's right.
CPAs, we don't get a lot of management training in our
True.
degrees
True.
unless you go, the MBA
Okay.
route. So I think we just don't get trained in it. You have to proactively see like there's a problem, there's a gap between where my client is and where I am, and I need to close it for them.
Okay.
And it takes
Okay.
time to realize
It
that.
does. My experience has been, I would say, roughly 90% of CPAs are reactive, and
Yeah.
10%, like yourself, that's in this industry, in this business, are proactive, does not want the archaeologist title. Oh,
Well, I think it's just a matter of personal preference. Like, do you like filling out tax returns? I often say when the day comes where I never have to look at a tax return again, I will be so happy because it is kind of boring. It's limited, like it's a tool, right? We can calculate some stuff off of it, but like it's such a grind to fill out tax return.
it
But some
is.
people like it. Some people like
Yes.
paperwork.
So you've helped your clients navigate the CARES Act relief and
Oof.
content,
Yeah.
even hosting free webinars, I think,
Yeah.
a while back ago. How did that shape your proactive, community focused approach?
So this was a great example of not being an archaeologist. Right?
Exactly.
As CARES was coming out, along with some other colleagues, we were reading the legislation and trying to decipher like what was the government doing. Now, when you
Mhm.
go from the sausage making process, right, of like, here's what someone in the government said, here's the bill they passed, here's how it gets interpreted, here's how it gets executed with the IRS. The start to finish is like a big game of telephone, and you don't
It is.
always
That's right.
come out
What'd you
the other
say? Did you
end.
say? Yep, I get it.
Exactly, exactly. Like it's a little bit shocking sometimes, like what the intention was and what the result was. But I also needed it for myself. I had COVID. In the midst of COVID, I had this practice I was running. I had 3 kids at home on Zoom
Mm.
school. And I
Mm.
was like, how are we getting through this? Am I going to be able to work? Is the world ending? Because if you remember back to those days, even though they were
Yes.
short for us in Florida,
Yes.
they were much shorter. But it was really a scary, crazy time. So I was like, I need to know this for myself, but my clients are going to need to know this also. And they're going to come ask me because everything was going through like the tax system at the time. So it was really like put out there. It wasn't even just for my clients. I literally would like tell my Facebook friends, tell anyone I knew, like, hey, I'm going to do this webinar. Come figure out whatever you can, like get your share of the government handouts that are going to keep your business afloat. And it went from that to people were, they saw the, like, I think we threw it up on YouTube, but people started reaching out like, oh my God, my accountant in their brick and mortar store, like they're not even answering the phone because they're not coming into the office, and can you help me? And it just really opened a door for us to help more and more people. We had been very tech forward always. I have an engineering background before I did this whole accounting thing. So I've always
MIT,
liked tech.
best of the
Yeah.
best.
MIT. I don't like build that exciting of stuff, but I can use the tech in the accounting world. So we were cloud accounting like from the start, from the very
I
beginning.
see.
So we would be like, okay, I know you've used your brick and mortar and they sat there and did QuickBooks while you stared at them for hours, but we can use these tools. We can help you get those funds from the government. We can help you file the paperwork. We can help you do all these things. You don't have to come into the office because it's COVID and everything's
Mhm.
closed, and
Mhm.
we're working in the cloud anyway. So we really were able to marry a lot of like the tech heavy, the cloud, the being forward looking, marry it all together to just really be helpful to clients and help them get the funding to keep their business going.
Yeah. So my next question for you is your cloud first infrastructure supported remote and flexible work, especially during COVID time. How do you think and how do you believe that has benefited your client services and responsiveness?
I haven't had like a real office
Oh,
ever.
oh, okay. All right.
I mean, I shouldn't really say that. I've had physical locations like co-working spaces, things like that. But I used to joke that I had clients like probably close to you, like in Fort Lauderdale, that I had never met in person. It's like not for, a lack of desire, but just it's so easy, right?
Yes.
And what we found during COVID is plenty of people didn't need to get in a car and drive over to see us. I didn't need to go, sit in my office and wait for someone who forgot they had an appointment, right?
Mhm.
It's much less lower downtime, right?
Mhm.
Dealing with stuff in the cloud.
Sure.
You get real time results. So if you were like, hey, Bet, can you come fix my QuickBooks? I don't have to get in my car, drive to your office.
No.
I don't even have to remote into your computer. We can literally at the same time both be in there fixing things, changing it. Bam, it's done. I mean, there is a downside, right? Like people can screw things up unintentionally. So some of it's
Absolutely.
good, some of it's bad. But in general, like we're not sharing data files across the
Mm.
internet. Like a lot of the old timey using like QuickBooks desktop is gone. The client sent me the wrong version of their books. Oh, they put
Yeah.
everything in the wrong file. You don't
Wow.
deal with that anymore. None of that stuff.
Excellent. Your firm offers fractional CFO, as we previously talked about. So fractional CFO and controller services. Can you tell us about that and how small businesses use these to build their sustainable growth? How you can help them with that?
Okay. I'm gonna just put a caveat in here that we're not
Okay.
profit first certified anymore.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
That's
don't I don't
okay.
want you to get in trouble with them because they will do takedowns and
What
whatnot.
is,
So you want to
tell us what that was.
okay. So profit first is a cash flow management system for small businesses. It's actually a fantastic system in its simplicity, right? It takes a lot of guessing and chaos out of managing your finances for your small business. So the premise is for every dollar that comes in, right? There's allocations that you need to do with the pieces of that dollar, the change in that dollar. And if you don't make profit a priority, it will never happen. You have to make profit and profitability a priority in your business because if you spend every dollar that comes in, there's nothing left for profits. So it's
Okay.
kind of structuring your business to support yourself and to support your life by saying, I'm going to be profitable. I'm going to pay myself whatever is the appropriate amount. Um,
Okay.
and then I'm going to operate the business after that.
I
And I
see.
have to design from the bottom up the business instead of the top down, where the
Okay.
top down is in the red. I'm going to say it's in the green to start and then
Okay.
work my way up to how much do I need to bring in to sustain myself, my profit, my taxes, all of these things and have the business that I want.
So in other words, pay yourself first as first
Yeah.
and foremost, and then kind of like Rich Dad Poor Dad. That was
Yeah.
what he kind of preached about as well. Let's talk about the entrepreneurs that you work with. What financial habits Do you see them having that seems to be in similarity? And or what habits should entrepreneurs have to accelerate their tax efficiency and their long-term growth?
Habits. I'm a big proponent of how you do one thing is how you do all things, right? So usually somebody who's highly organized in their business and how they operate doesn't then have messy books, unfiled tax returns, things like that.
Absolutely.
Usually, now sometimes somebody's just like, a magician that can create money. I have seen that. I have seen people who are like, I'm just making money. I don't know where it goes, whatever. I let other people take care of it. But that's kind of unusual, right? That's the unicorn.
Sure.
Usually it's people who are highly organized and they're highly effective, have a good handle on their finances. They have a good handle on their business financials. Those are the people that look through the tax return, don't just sign it and say, yeah, it's fine. That's what I'm going to say. Like, you got to pick a style of managing stuff in your life that you like and apply it everywhere.
Mhm. Fantastic. So organizational skills, super important. Let's talk a little bit about, we mentioned a little bit about crypto. What compliance and reporting type of services do you provide? And what do you see in terms of mistakes that people frequently make that they shouldn't make?
In the crypto world or anywhere?
Crypto world in general, or for that matter, if you'd
Okay.
like to be more broader, I'm okay with that too.
The crypto world is just so strange. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's so strange because I love the theoretical of what I'm going to get in crypto, right? Immutable blockchain,
Yes,
every transaction there for everyone to see, to know, like, David absolutely pays me to say nice things about him because he put it on the blockchain, right? I'm kidding, but that's kind of the premise there. And it should, for what I do for accounting, it should be amazing because I have a to and a from, and I have a dollar amount, and I have not
hmm,
just a date, but I have a timestamp, right? The
sure.
problem is, have you ever looked at the hash information on a crypto transaction? It's not readable by humans.
Yeah,
Gobbledygook, right? Like, that's the, I think, technical term for it is gobbledygook. But it's clearly like an accounting, I'm going to call it an accounting system because they didn't create it to be an accounting system, but effectively it is created by people who aren't accountants.
sure,
Because they would know, like, oh my god, like, no mortal human can read this, let alone the accountants can read this.
sure.
So the thing that's really challenging is when you combine the kind of chaos of crypto, even though it should be very orderly and like specific, the way the data happens and the way it expresses itself is incredibly hard to put into reports that can be used by humans for for tax reporting or for putting it into accounting systems.
Hmm,
And the software that tries to translate those transactions into accounting speak
hmm.
are either not great or they're really expensive. So that's usually such a challenge for us, honestly, when we work with like crypto Web3 companies, is getting just like piecing that information together. We do have to be a little bit of an archaeologist here because it's hard. It's hard to get it into a usable format, even though it should be so easy because like everything is right there. But it's evolving. It's evolving. It'll get better. Now, where it becomes a problem is if you're doing any transactions in crypto. So crypto is not considered like cash, right? It's not considered like US dollars
Right,
when you're transacting. It's it's basically like a stock. Like, if you go somewhere and you're like, I'm gonna buy a pizza with my Bitcoin, that's a capital gain or capital loss transaction that you now have to report on your taxes,
sure.
which is wild. That's totally wild, right? So people don't necessarily realize that every
That when they,
single
yeah.
transaction has to end up as part of your tax return because
Hmm.
if you buy or sell crypto, if you exchange it, if you cash it out, all of these things are transactions that have to be reported.
Sure.
And not just do they have to be reported, now you get into a whole calculation of what is my cost basis for those transactions.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
that's even more complicated. So if you're like,
Yes.
well, this year I'm going to use Coinly, and next year I'm going to use cointracking.info, and the year after that I'm using, somebody else's, you run the risk, a compliance risk of like selling the same cost basis over and over again
Hmm.
and creating a real mess. So there's it's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of ways it can go wrong and it can be hard. That's probably the biggest problem we see is like if you don't consistently use the same software year after year and you lose that history, you can cause some weird tax problems for yourself.
Understand. Absolutely. I'm a crypto enthusiast myself and an investor as well. So these are all very valid points.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
and then you get into HIFO, LIFO, and FIFO, and then you're even like really talking a different language.
complicated. Yes. Um, so let's talk about um, looking forward. How do you expect accounting and tax advisory services, especially for startups and global entrepreneurs, to evolve over the next decade? Now, what I mean by this is with the um, newness and the adaptation of artificial intelligence and ChatGPT coming into play, a lot of people are saying that the technology can take away those white collar jobs that are like CPAs and um, litigation or attorneys in litigation, and even heck, as myself as a financial advisor, how do you see this coming along?
I love that question because honestly, like people tell me that AI is going to take my job, and I'm like, I can't wait to retire. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Make my job easier. But I
Oh,
think, I'll give you an example. I wrote a letter for somebody today. I used Chat GPT, right? I
okay,
still had to feed in the facts
sure,
and circumstances to the letter for it to write it for me, right? And I was like, wow, this must have been what it was like way back when, well before my time, where you had like a secretary that would like take dictation for you and you could just kind of
sure,
talk and they would turn it into something.
sure,
I'm like, that's basically what I use, but I still had to know what I was talking about,
absolutely,
right? And
sure.
the AIs are so hallucinogenic.
They are hallucinogenic. I love that.
Hallucinogenic, right? AI hallucinations are real. So I will say that, we use some tax focused AIs that are only using the source data of like the
Mhm.
IRS code, the state codes,
Okay.
tax court, things like that, to get very specific and precise answers. I had at one point, I did just as a trial for myself, like a year ago. There's something called a 1031 exchange, which
Mhm.
is, you take one property, you're exchanging it for another property, and a lot of math ensues. And that's a whole different discussion, but it's not an easy calculation. I threw it into like three different AI models. Every single one gave me a different answer. Well, which
Holy
one was
cow.
the right
Wow.
answer? Which
Mhm.
was right? You know, they don't know. They can't tell, right? And I put
Right.
literally like copy pasted the prompt. So it was
Yep.
exactly the same, three different answers. So I don't think the artificial intelligence is going to replace wisdom anytime soon and experience.
Okay.
Those are the areas where you still need a human to say, like, no, that's not right. I've also had people tell me, like, oh, I put this in ChatGPT. And I'm like, well, that's great that you're proactively trying to learn. It like missed the word not.
Mm.
So I'm like, this is the exact opposite of, it told you the exact opposite of what was supposed to happen. And I don't even remember the topic, but
Mm.
you still need someone that's got that real world experience and that professional training and that just have seen things more times than you have and that you know can tell you like, okay, the answer might be right from the AI but it doesn't apply to your situation. right? And we get a lot of that, especially in real estate, because real estate's very situation specific.
Very, yes.
So I'm not too worried. I
Okay.
think I'm still going to have a job for a little while.
All right. And fantastic. That means maybe I'm safe, hopefully as
Yeah,
well.
you might be. You might be
Um,
also. There are areas though, I think it could greatly help. Like if they could take some artificial intelligence into like the IRS, because we get letters from the IRS sometimes about clients that I'm like, I don't know where they even pulled this
hold
data from
this.
because it
Mm,
just doesn't make any sense. So I actually think it could be used to improve a lot of experiences
sure.
with government agencies if they're, able to utilize it in that way. I don't know if they'll be able to, but maybe.
So your firm provides fractional CFO service. Tell me about that. How can business owners use that effectively and be on budget? How do you go about, let's say, allocating your fees with the CFO services that you provide?
Sure, sure. So we talked about before, like the price, right, involved in bringing in a real CFO. Um, we're going to be much cheaper than bringing that full-time person in. And the
Sure.
thing that's an added benefit to that is we don't just do like, okay, here's the CFO stuff. We actually wrap into those packages tax strategy and planning, like we were talking about. We
Okay.
include that. Many of those packages also include tax preparation. So
Mm,
we're trying to be like a one-stop shop for you so you can get all of that benefit all at one price. And you're not like, well, let me have my bookkeeper talk to my CPA, talk to my financial, strategist,
time.
talk to this
Sure.
one, that one. I mean, the only thing we really don't do is the like real like investing advisory
Okay.
because we're just not licensed for that. We need you for that kind of stuff.
Okay.
But you know, my tax department and my accounting department talk to each other inherently. Like we meet all the time. So you don't need to then have whoever you bring in to do CFO stuff to talk to the
Mhm.
outside CPA firm, which is pretty nice.
Fantastic. The bookkeeping part, which is the infrastructure or the skeleton of any good tax planning. Is that part of the service with the CFO fractional
Yeah.
service?
So we can be. It certainly depends on the client. Some clients, depending, depends on the industry, they might have and the size of the company, they might have someone in-house. But
Sure.
even the clients that have in-house bookkeepers or accountants, they generally find they love having another person to ask. Like, hey, Bet, did I record this properly? Can you check before we say, tell the boss that
Mhm.
the financials are done? And we'll look at it, we'll review it. A lot of business owners like having another set of eyes to look at that stuff.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
really that's like it's like the basic, right? It's the starting foundation. So if you don't have anyone in-house to do it, we will do it because we need it to do all the rest of the work. But
Sure.
it doesn't matter if you want us to do it, you want to have someone else do it. And some companies they even like to have multiple sets of eyes on things. And they'll have a bookkeeper that's an outsourced bookkeeper, and we'll work with their outsourced bookkeeper. So it's really, depends on the client, what they want, what they're comfortable with, what they're trying to optimize for.
I love it. Um,
Yeah.
and finally, are you glad that you're in the CPA industry? I know that there is there are a lot less younger people going into the CPA world. Just this just comes from the demographics of people that are
Yeah.
going to school for it. The numbers have reduced since the past. What's your thought about that? How do you get younger people to come into this industry excited to participate in this industry?
I will tell you that in another life, I had wanted to actually build roller coasters. So if I could have done that, I think I maybe would have enjoyed it. Maybe not. I don't know. Having never done it, right? You can't prove a counterfactual. So I don't know. But having not been able to go down that path, I'm very happy as a CPA because I know if all else fails, I can work during tax season, right? Like if I needed to
Sure.
shut down my business, I could always find a job doing tax work. If I didn't want to do tax season insanity, I could always like do staff accounting stuff, things like that. It's so flexible. You learn so much. And if you can kind of take away that archaeology hat and put on that like pioneer hat to like look in the future, it's it's so valuable, like to be able to read financial statements and glean information out of people's financial statements and advise them on their business and what they're doing and where they're losing money. Like there's just so many opportunities to be able to parlay that accounting knowledge into something else, that if you
Mhm.
don't want to go through the grind of working at a public company, which it's not fun. I will tell you. Like I've worked at
Sure.
bigger CPA. I never worked like big four, but I worked in some like bigger regional firms, and sometimes it just sucks. Like that's the reality. But because the younger generation like is looks at it and they're like, I don't want to do that. The industry is having to evolve. It's having to change, right? I don't work my team like a maniac the way some of the places I used to work during tax
Mm.
season, where they were like, we want, 60 hours a week and you better come in on the weekend and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I have kids. I don't want to, like, whatever, you go on extension, you'll be okay. Like,
Yeah.
we'll get to it when we get to it. Or be a little more proactive during the year with some tax strategy and like, getting your books done and things like that during the year. That you don't have to stress out the accountant so much during tax season. But I think it has a stigma. Was it TurboTax that had those billboards with the bald guy and the bow tie?
Yes.
I don't know any CPAs that look like that anymore. It's getting an overhaul, the profession, and it has to, because you got to modernize, you got to embrace all this tech, you got to do all these things.
Any final words for our listeners and our viewers?
Don't be afraid of accounting. Don't be afraid of tax. Most people don't know what they're looking at when they look at a tax return, right? And that's what we're here for. We're here to translate those crazy, ugly forms into something actionable for you and to use it as a tool so that you can save more money. Keep it in your pocket instead of giving it to the government.
Fantastic. How can viewers and listeners get a hold of you?
Sure. We have a very elaborate social media presence on just about every platform you can imagine. You can always reach out to us through any of those: email, phone, text, WhatsApp. You can go right on our website and actually schedule a consultation. You don't even have to talk to us first. We're happy to talk to you. Free introductory calls.
What is your website?
Sure. It's bettehochberger.com.
And
You're
for
going to
the,
have to spell it out for people.
for the viewers, it will be on the screen that you will see right below where I'm pointing at. And an email address, Bet, for yourself.
Sure. bet@bettehochberger.com.
Fantastic. And that will also, for the viewers, be seen on your screen. I want to thank you, Bet, for joining us on this episode of the Jet Setting Wealth Advisory Podcast. I really enjoyed having you here and sharing your expertise in strategic tax planning and modern accounting for entrepreneurs and investors, especially crypto investors. To connect with Bet, again, you can look at all her firm services and the links in our show notes. My name, again, is David Yu, airline pilot, founder, and wealth advisor of DTY Wealth Planning Solutions. If you found today's conversation valuable, subscribe, leave a review, and give us a thumbs up, and share this episode with someone navigating wealth and business growth. Until next time, fly smart, plan ahead, and keep building your wealth with clarity and intention. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for flying with us on today's episode of Jet Setting Wealth Advisory. If you enjoyed your journey through the fiscal skies with David T. Yu, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and keep your financial knowledge soaring. For more insights and personalized advice, visit us at www.dtywealthplanningsolutions.com and connect with David directly